Unfortunately, we are bombarded by misinformation daily. With television and social media, anyone can make claims and promote certain diets, even if they are unqualified to do so. Carbs are no exception. They get a really bad rep. Low-carb diets are all over the internet. Many influencers try to demonize carbs and push the claim that they make you gain weight. This is simply not true. No one should be taking general nutrition advice from strangers on the internet. But more specifically, as an athlete, your individual recommendations are going to be very different compared to the general public and those who are non-athletic. In fact, when it comes to sports, carbohydrates are actually the most valuable player in pumping up your performance. When you eat carbs like bread, pasta, bagels, cereal, and oatmeal, your body breaks it down into glucose. This is just a scientific name for simple sugars. The cells of our body then absorb that glucose and convert it into an energy molecule called ATP. ATP travels directly to the muscle so that they have the energy they need to do work, like running a race, lifting weights, swimming a side stroke, or throwing a football. When our bodies are at rest, excess glucose that wasn't used gets converted into glycogen and stored in our liver and our muscle cells. So basically, glycogen is just the storage form of glucose. When we become active again, our bodies can pull glycogen out of storage and convert it back into glucose to use for energy. So as an athlete, or if you're a highly active adult, you are going to deplete your glycogen stores at a much faster rate compared to those who are non-athletic. This is why it is so crucial for you to make sure you are fueling properly and eating the appropriate amount of carbs for your level of activity and your body composition. This way you can replenish those glycogen stores so your body can use it later when it needs to. You are always going to require more carbs than the average person. So let's talk about game day or a sports event. In order to meet performance goals, you're going to need to increase the amount of carbs and just overall calories in general that you eat the day before and the day of a game, a race, or an event. This is a practice called carbo loading, and it's essential for success. Carbo loading can be achieved by building proper meals in the form of a performance plate. So this is an example of your dinner the night before and what breakfast the day of an event can look like. It's a high-intensity performance plate. This is just an example of different ideas for food that you can put on the plate. Breakfast or the day of meal, depending on what time the event is, should be eaten at least 3 to 4 hours before the event. Breakfast, for example, could look like a half a plate of home fries or hash browns, a quarter plate of scrambled eggs, and a quarter plate of mixed fruit like bananas, berries, and apple slices. This, of course, is just an example. It's best to stick to foods that you're familiar with, things that you eat often, and things that you know your body is used to. Even with all this food, athletes still require additional fueling. You're going to need to top off about 30 minutes prior to an event and again at halftime. This is known as pregame and midgame fueling. The types of snacks that are typically provided during pregame and midgame are low fiber carbs. Basically, this just means simple carbs that are broken down easily and absorbed quickly in order to provide glucose quickly to the brain and muscles so that you can stay energized and focused throughout the game and ultimately perform at your very best. When you don't fuel properly, you run the risk of hitting the wall. This is a sudden onset of fatigue and significant loss of energy. Hitting the wall puts you at an increased risk of serious illness or injury. Carbo loading, pre-game, and mid-game fueling are designed to prevent this from happening. Put simply, there is just no substitute for carbs. It is your body's preferred fuel source and benefits performance the most. So if you want to be successful, eat more carbs.